Well, the Andrews government is facing another scandal. The botched handling of hotel quarantine program has sparked outrage as the state's COVID cases continue to rise and Victorians in hotspot zones are locked down. The government has repeatedly refused to answer questions about which department was responsible for managing private security contracts. Joining me now, Victoria's Shadow Police Minister David Southwick. David, great to see you tonight.
Good evening, Peter.
The last time we spoke, I mean, Andrews was under pressure, but this is a whole new world of pain. I mean, you know, you've got Victorians openly apologising to the nation for the way that this has been handled.
Yes, Peter, this has been a monumental stuff-up by Daniel Andrews to the point where, as you say, other states are coming out of lockdown. We're locking down some 300,000 people, and we're doing that because Daniel Andrews has outsourced the security and effectively the health and wellbeing of Victorians to private security guards. And now nobody wants to admit who made that decision. We now are told that the government wants to have an inquiry costing $3 million and taking 3 months to try and work out who made this mammoth mistake. I mean, it is catastrophic to think that a government has allowed this to happen, where in other states you've had the ADF, you've had police in charge to ensure that people are locked down properly. Here, we've had hotels being, if you like, looked after by bouncers, by security guards. And we've heard that there's been allegations of those contracts being, again, contracted out to other people for cash payments, people signing on and not actually turning up to their shifts, sexual activity happening during these shifts, and also the fact that there was not proper training or even protective gear. There is no wonder why we're in such a mess. And to think that when businesses are doing it tough, when Victorians are really at a point where we can't open, we've got tourism during our school holidays that can't operate, and to think that Daniel Andrews has caused this pain on Victorians, which didn't have to be that way because he didn't manage it properly. It's shambolic. It's a huge mistake, Peter, and unfortunately all Victorians are bearing the consequences.
And David, what compounds this is the fact that there's no accountability. I mean, these guys are very quick to put their hand up when things are going swimmingly and their popularity goes through the roof and they say, haven't we done so well flattening the curve? But when things go pear-shaped, when they go south, the buck stops with the Premier. I mean, that's why we elect these people. They're leaders of our country, and someone has dropped the ball here. And the fact that no one is prepared to stand up, whether it's the Premier, whether it's the Health Minister, whether it's the Chief Medical Officer, whether it's the Deputy Chief Medical Officer, someone needs to say, I was the one who sanctioned that, and I'm going to put my hand up. What's going on down there?
Absolutely right. So, as I said, we don't need another inquiry. We need an apology from the Premier, and we need someone to take accountability and responsibility for this mammoth stuff up. And then we need to ensure that we have the right systems in place so it doesn't happen again. No one is managing this. There is a very clear reason why other states are going forwards and we're going backwards. In other states, you have, in these hotels, you have the police manning the outside of these hotels and the ADF manning the inside of these hotels, and it's being properly managed. In Victoria, this has been outsourced to private security guards, and no one's saying why or how. And the federal government offered the ADF. The Premier initially said, yeah, we'll take them on, and then he effectively said, thank you, but no thank you. We'll continue on doing what we're doing. So we've had the offer. It actually wouldn't have cost Victoria anything to have the ADF in place. And it's really important, Peter, because a lot of your viewers would know, during the bushfires, we had the police and the ADF working really closely together to ensure people were safe. Now, we could have had this again, but Daniel Andrews has gone rogue and has decided, I'm going to do it my way, and I'm going to leave the rest of the country and other states to do it another way. We've seen our result in Victoria, and we've seen different results in every other state. It's not a coincidence. This bloke has got it wrong. He needs to say sorry, and he needs, instead of spending $3 million on another inquiry, they should go to the small business. That money should go to small businesses that are doing it tough right now.
Exactly. You know what, David? There are two sets of people that I really feel sorry for now. One is our viewers, those at home now in country and regional Victoria, who haven't seen a COVID case in their lifetime in their city or in their town or in their suburb, and they are hurting. And the other ones are the small business operators. You know, the people who did the right thing, and tourism operators, the people who did the right thing, went into hibernation, copped the draconian and the stringent ways in which the Premier imposed restrictions on them. And they were coming out, they were seeing the sunlight, they were seeing the opportunity to come forward, and now they're back to square one. They're the ones I feel sorry for.
Absolutely. As you say, there is a lot of regional Victoria that haven't seen a case. Daniel Andrews has applied a blanket rule right across the board for all of those, but now he chooses to lock up by postcode. Why in the beginning didn't he start to ease off for some of those regional towns that haven't had a case whatsoever? Why has he now ended up doing what he's doing? It's very, very simple. And why is he punishing small business? These small businesses have been told one thing. We had the situation where a lot of hotels and what have you were going to be open with additional staff. We had I had local hotels that have purchased food and additional staff they put on, only for the following day after he was told the laws were going to change that he was winding it back again. He keeps changing his mind. It's confusing messages. And the ironic thing the other day, Peter, was we had the CFMEU, 250 people protest outside a building site. Instead of the police finding these people, they were ensuring that the traffic management was in place to ensure that we could minimise cars going through, so we were inconveniencing people getting to work, to ensure the CFMEU could have a protest. And at the end of the day, they issued one fine of $1,650, $6 a person, to effectively shut down a street and do what they like in terms of a protest. You can't have 10 people, you can't have 11 people playing cricket in the park, but you can have 250 people protesting on a building site.
You know what the real irony here is, David? I mean, this story is so big that it's knocked off the ALP branch stacking from the front pages. Because, and I mean, in any other situation, you'd have that still being front and centre. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I thought the red shirt scandal would hurt Labor last time round at the state election. Do you think people worry about integrity? Do you think they worry about the fact that this bloke has dropped the ball on COVID? Because right now, I mean, you know, I don't know what the polling is down there, but, you know, you guys struggle to get traction on this sort of stuff.
Well, the difference here, Peter, is, okay, once you kind of, people will forgive you and say, all right, well, they're doing a good job on other things. We kind of understand that. We've had the situation of the red shirts. We've now had 3 ministers sacked for corruption in terms of branch stacking. We've had the China Belt and Road Agreement, which is still secretive. We still don't know what Daniel Andrews has signed Victoria up to. And now we've had a situation where people's livelihoods have been threatened because the Premier has outsourced private security to private security firms. So when you make one mistake, okay, you might get forgiveness. But when you do a whole range of things like this, I think people are starting to understand that they have a Premier that is all about himself, all about his self-preservation in terms of his leadership, and not caring about the ordinary Victorian that wants to get on with their jobs, wants to ensure their family are able to put food on the table and not have to deal with this kind of mess that we're in. And I think the other difference here is when you look over the border and you see people are getting back to work, they're getting their economies going again, and in Victoria we're back in shutdown, this isn't a coincidence. This is bad leadership. This is poor management. And when you have a poor manager in a business, you get rid of that manager and you replace them with someone else. At the very least, his ministers need to go, and Daniel Andrews should be looking at himself as well, because at the moment he's showing poor judgment and poor management when it comes to managing Victoria.
David Southwick, always a pleasure to have you on Sky News across Australia. See you later.
Thanks. All the best, Peter. Bye.